Yeah, welcome YouTube. My name is Paul Kroon and I'm gonna be your host today. And today I'm gonna talk about validate a form. So form validation in PowerApps. And let's go to PowerApps because I make a small example app. And what I'm having here is a button will initiate some data, and it's basically gonna make a collection for a combo box and a variable to be matched in a text input field. I have a plus button, and when I add the plus button I get a form frame and a form with 3 fields, one number field, a text field and a combo box. And when I try to submit this I get some errors. So this field is not mandatory. When I try to put in a mileage that is smaller than 152, I got should be entered 152. When I go above that it's alright, but when I fat finger and I put in an extra number, it's gonna say the entered value is too high. So same for the combo box. When I basically do that and I enter the form, you see the error message goes away and I can enter my value. When the form is full, you see in the top a notification bar which is red, which it's a statement that the form has wrong input. But when it's right, the form is gonna go away when I push the button, and then we get a green notify bar that the form is successfully saved. If I enter something and I put the cancel button, let's first add our error messages, and I go away and I go back again, then everything is reset again. So we're gonna build this solution and we're gonna validate this form before we're gonna submit it. And I'm gonna show you how to do that in a good and simple and nice way. Let's go to a other browser where I have a solution which is not built totally. I still have my button to initialize my data, and it's gonna make a variable and a collection for my combo box. I have the plus sign, and when I enter this I get my form where the submit button is empty. All my error messages are visible, and only an update is on the variable which just shows and hides the field. Okay, we're gonna do the validation on our submit button, so let's start there. And what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna do an update context, and then I say I have a validate form variable and I set it to true. So the first line is to set the variable true. Don't forget to end your statement or your formula, and then next we're gonna do a if statement, validate form, and if the validation is passed, then we're gonna notify the user that you successfully add a record. Well done. And the notification we're gonna give is a success notification. And when it's not validated, then we gonna give also a notify box. And we're gonna say wrong input. Please check and try again. And we're gonna give an error to the user. Then close our validation part. Let's make this a little bit bigger. And first see what it does. So when we go to our form and we say submit, it's gonna be a successful record edit. And let's now simulate that the form is not wrong, because here we do checks. And let's only say update context. Validate form is false. Enter formula and try again. Now it should have a red notification bar. With the wrong input, please check and try again. So, and this works. Now let's first look at our concept we're using here. We first put in our validation form and we set it to true. And then we're going to do our checks. And if our checks are not valid, then we're going to set the validation form to false. And then we're going to look if the validation is succeeded. And if so, we're going to do a notification, so we simulate that the record is added, and if not, we're gonna give a error message to the user. So this is a very good concept, and I learned this from Tim Corey, who made a brilliant C# tutorials on YouTube. So when you want to learn C# and you want to learn concepts like a user interface, build libraries, models, I would say try this out and do the math or the time for this tutorial. I will add the link in the description, so you can find it easily. But think of it, it's going to be 27 hours of videos, and so take that times 3, so you need 100 hours to learn C# to program this in a very good way. But still, it's very nice, so I thought I'd bring this in. So let's go to our solution, because we're going to change this. And what are we going to do between the context value validate and we check if our validate form variable is true? We're going to check for our mileage. Oh, we're going to check for our customer field, combo box, and we're going to check our topic fields. So we're gonna do the 3 fields. We're gonna check if there is a valid entering in this field. Now on this moment I make them all mandatory. That's why I put in the star character. But you can also put fields in that are not mandatory, and then you wouldn't check it. You wouldn't check it here between this. Or maybe you would check only if when people put something in, that they put something in that is valid for your field you want to store in your SQL database or somewhere else. Let's say like a VAT number in the Netherlands, it has to be I think 10 digits when I'm right, or 13 digits. So you can check on the number of digits and how it's built up with regedit or something like that. But we don't gonna do that here. We have 3 boxes and they are mandatory. So now I'm gonna do my checks. And first I'm gonna do an if statement. And I will check for the mileage field text. I call it kilometer end. I'm gonna check if it's blank. And when it's blank, I want to update my validate form variable, and I want to set it to false. Another parenthesis for closing and end the formula. So let's see if this works. So when we go there and we leave it blank and we try to enter it, it's saying wrong input. But when we put something in it and we try it again, we get a successful edit record. So that's great. Let's do the same for the other controls. Here we're going to do exactly the same. is blank, and we gonna use our customer combo box. Only for the customer combo box we can do the text, we do the selected and the parameter we want to check for. It can be all the fields, because when it's blank all the parameters in the selected item will give a blank back. So, and if it's blank, we're gonna do update context, validate form, and set it to false. Extra parenthesis for the if statement, and we're gonna close brackets. Why it's yelling, he needs a capital F, and then it's gonna be fine. So let's do the same for the topic, and as a matter of fact I'm gonna copy this part, just paste it here, remove the extra enter, and say the end has to be a topic. So now let's check if it works still now. We get a false when we have to get in our data. Wrong, and when we say this and we have all the free field, it's going to be successful. So till now it works. Now we want to add our errors, and we want to show or hide our error strings based on a condition which is met or not. So we're gonna use variables for that. So I say I want to have a error km variable, and I'm gonna put it to 0. Yes, you see I put it to 0 and not to false. And there's a reason for that, and the reason is when I have a false or a true, I can only show or hide the error message, but when I have a 0 I am able to do right away or to later make different errors appear based on how I'm gonna set my variable. So later on, when we go to the km end, we can have that it's blank, we can have that it's lower than the mileage we start with. It can be far too high. So we want to basically give 3 different error messages back to the customer based on the input. We're gonna do that in the next part of this video. So now we basically gonna take this one, copy this, and put this variable and set it to 1 in the update context when the mk end is blank. We want to have a error of 1. Then we can do the same for the error customer, only with the customer fields, and set it to 1 also. And for the error topic, we're gonna set it to 1 also. So what you see now is that really you are setting your variables based on a field, so it's very easy to read. So I think so it's easy to do. Say, okay, this I don't want anymore because it's not mandatory. Let's take it away, and you don't have to unravel all nested formula, a lot of switch formulas, and do a lot of logic and read that to change your behavior of your form. So I really like this solution. And let's do here a submit the form if validate if form is valid. Okay, nice. So now we set our variables, and now we have to set the variables to our arrow boxes. So first we're gonna go to the visible parameter, and we're gonna do an end statement, and it has to be, and the error km has to be higher than 1. So when it's 1, it's gonna be invisible. not visible, and when it's higher than 1, it's going to be visible. So I'm going to do the same here with the error customer. Must be higher than 0. Oh, it has to be higher than 0. Did I do that also here? Higher than 1. So when then it's 1, it's gonna break my application. So it has to be higher than 0. Sorry for that. And here on the visible property, it has to be higher than error topic. It has to be higher than 0. So now go to our app. And let's say it's empty, all our parameters have to go away, and when we then try to submit our form, we get 3 errors. And if we change our error something, the error is going away. Now what I noticed and what I really don't like is when I have error boxes and I put something in and they stay. So I just think this is wrong. So when I change something or I go to my field, I want this error message to be gone right away and be back again when I try to do like this and submit my form again without proper valid entrances. So let's do that. We go to the error message. We need to adjust that. So when we take the field, we're gonna adjust, and we say when we go to it, so on select, I want to update context, the error km, and I want to set it to false. False. Okay, I didn't say false, I said 0. I do the same for this field. Update context. Of course, you can also set it to the unchanged property, but I'm okay with it that it's gonna be away when I enter my control. So I choose for the unselect. Error topic and set it to 0 also. So when we now go to our app and we say we have an error message, as soon as we go in, the error message disappears, and I think that is perfect. So now when we put in all our boxes, we want to have a success notification, and when it's validated, we want the form to disappear all at once. So let's do that also. We go to the submit button, and here we're gonna say update context, sometimes get some strange lines. And this is the if01 show. I'm gonna set it to false and end my formula. When I now adjust it, the formula is gone. So nice for now. Now we have another problem, that is when I go back to my form, still my entering is there. So I want to reset my buttons, and also when I go away from the screen, I want it to be blank. So let's do that next. Go to this button and say resets I01 IF01 km end. And because basically I'm doing the same, I'm gonna just add them on the same line. Normally I would take for each formula a different line, but because I'm doing the same, I'm gonna put it on one line. And I'm gonna do the same to the customer, and I'm gonna do the same on the IF0 topic. Okay, let's see if this works. Run our app, go back, come to our screen. Now, with our errors, and then what we will see is that the errors are still there. So I want to change that also by adding an extra line, do an update context. And you see I'm not adding it to this update context because I want to separate them. And so it's clear what every line will do. So this gonna reset all my error messaging, error customer to 0, and the error topic to 0, close brackets, and that's okay. Now we have to take this part and add that also to our form validation. So if the form is validated, we want to hide it, we want to reset our buttons, and we want to notify the customer that it was successful. And maybe here we do a submit pets or flow. And it is adding a new record to data source. So let's see if it works correctly. Now we have our error messages. When we go away, we come back, the error messages are gone. When we put one in, we have 2 error messages and a value. We say cancel and come back again. It's selected. When we we do have to change the error messages here because we don't have an error message when it's blank, but we have a wrong input. But we're gonna do that in just one moment. First, gonna check if our box works for the rest. So if we enter some values which are valid, and we have successfully added a record, and we go to do again, we have a nice clean empty box. So let's do the last things, and that is our error message. Look at the text here. I need a topic description. Okay, that's nice, I think. On this, the text is wrong input. Okay, let's say this is a field. And then we're gonna go to the error message of the KM. And here we want to build some more logic in there because we don't want a wrong input. We want the customer to see different error messages based on our input. So first go to our submit button, and we're gonna change this part of our formula. And now it's the if. When it's blank, we're gonna do the context false and the error to 1. Let's add 2 lines to be able to add an extra line. I'm gonna be lazy, so I'm gonna copy this to FA2, but now I'm not gonna do an isBlank function. I'm gonna add a value of my control, and it's yelling at me, and it's yelling because I forgot to put in the comma at the end of the earlier line. So I think Okay, let's look. Okay, this is great. We have the first logic, then we have a true, then we have the second logic and a true. So it's going to be fine when we have a good logic. So when that's smaller or equal to our kn start variable, then it's gonna crash and it's gonna update the validate form to false and our error message to 2. Let's go to a next line. Don't forget my comma, and we're gonna say when it's greater or equal to km start plus, I think 1000 would be the max of kilometers of a day. So when it's higher than that, it's gonna break, and then it's gonna have an error km of 3. So now you see when I put in a 0, so I have a 1, a 2 and a 3, and I can make my text be based on what kind of number we have. So we're gonna do that next. We're gonna go to our error message. Let's see, and we're gonna say here, and I'm gonna use the switch function because I have one variable which I want to check against different values. So here I'm gonna say this is the error km, and then I'm gonna enter 2 times, put a colon there, and say if it's 1, I want to say this is a mandatory field, just like with the customer. But when it's 2, I want to say the value should be higher than on the start. And we also had a 3, and the value is too high. Please add a lower value. Okay, now I made my error text based on the input of the user. Let's see if it works. So when we have no entry, it's gonna say this is a mandatory field. When we put in 172, it's gonna say the value should be higher than on start. When we have a higher one, then it's okay, but when we fat finger an extra number with it and we go more than 1000 higher than our first value, which is the case, the value is too high, please add a lower value. When we go away and we go back, our form is reset. We get the nice red notification bar for our customers, and when we have a valid entry for all the fields, then our form is gone and we get our nice success notify screen and a new user form for our next input. So basically I think we now had all the topics addressed, what we need to do to have a validation form, and we are done with it. So I hope you liked this video and you learn a lot about it, and if you do, please subscribe to my channel and like this video, and I hope to see you in the next video, and thank you for watching. Bye.